that isn't talked about too much, but has a tremendous impact on our mental health. Bullies. Adulthood has bullies in it. Now, we thought those bullies stayed in middle school, elementary, maybe even high school. But some of those same bullies have grown up to be full-grown adult bullies too. People that have proven they will go out of their way to hurt somebody else with intent to cause emotional pain. A bully's self-esteem is often, if not all the time, low. Because you have to be at a place where you don't feel well about self in order to want to intentionally harm somebody else. It's always good to have a healthy boundary when it comes to a bully, because we're recognizing that right now in the space that this person is in emotionally or mentally, it's not healthy to have them within my personal space.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Voice and Value. Go ahead and grab your tea, your snack, or whatever you need to get yourself comfortable, because today we're asking a simple but very necessary question. How in the heck did we get here? I'm talking about the Latruuth saga. The whirlwind that started out as one couple's very public dispute and somehow turned into a full-blown social media warfare where people with real jobs, real families, and dreams became keyboard soldiers, legal defendants, or in some cases, actual victims themselves. Let's unpack it, not just the drama, but the why behind it all, because this ain't just about them anymore. It's about us. And we're gonna keep having the uncomfortable conversations that remind us of who we are and also who we refuse to become. If you've been online in the last year or two, you've probably seen at least a clip of Latruuth and his wife Brianna. On one side, she accused him of domestic violence. Serious allegations that stirred up emotions, especially among women who've lived through that similar pain. On the other side, Latruuth responded with his own receipts, text messages, video evidence, and statements that made some people feel like he was the real victim of character assassination, brand destruction, and public humiliation. Two sides formed real quick, and people picked them like teams in a tug-of-war game. Now look, there's nothing wrong with standing up for what you believe is right. That's human. That's what's considered community. But what happened next? Oh, that's where things really started to go left. What started out as support turned into obsession. Folks started building entire YouTube channels just to speak on the situation. I'm raising my hand right now because, full disclosure, that's how yours truly got here. Some of us were calm, collected, and thoughtful and respectful. But others, well, they wanted clicks, chaos, and clout. The lines got blurred between advocacy and antagonism. Upper Echelon taught us about that. Being antagonist is the sole purpose behind many of their existence now. And once you wrap your brain around that concept, I promise you'll have a lot of less stress about the saga, because it makes perfect sense. It's a good and sensible explanation behind all the foolery. But still, some creators, instead of uplifting survivors or holding abusers accountable, they started attacking each other. Bashing, doxing, roasting, name-calling, court cases, warrants, yes, actual charges. I'm talking about charges of stalking and harassment and bullying and terroristic threats. Some folks even ended up in jail over this. And they weren't even Latruuth or his wife. Well, wait a minute now. The wife did actually end up in jail for a few hours for revenge porn. And where they do that at? Don't answer. That's a rhetorical question. But my real question is, how did somebody else's marriage drama become the hill people were willing to lose their lives on? Y'all can leave that answer in the comments because inquiry minds want to know. But wait, things get even messier. A lot of folks who became invested in the saga, especially those over 50, were looking for community, somewhere to belong, a cause to believe in, something to fight for, figuratively and literally. And unfortunately, some content creators took advantage of that. They built little families, tribes, or sisterhoods where you weren't just a supporter, you were a soldier. And if you question the narrative, you were labeled a traitor, ousted, unless you were a top giver. Oh yes, honey, people were donating money, spending 4 hours or more in lives, getting into real life arguments, even with their own family, over creators they never met in person. Let me say this again. Over a YouTube beef, not a movement. We ain't talking civil rights here, people. Not even community restoration. A domestic dispute between social media influencers. Some of them got doxxed and lost their jobs. A few of them ended up in court. They lost their monetized channel, received TPOs, cease and desist letters, while others ended up homeless, sleeping in their cars, begging online for hotel room fees, and still ended up bankrupt at the end. Some of these same people just wanted to shine when they were on top. They wanted to outgive so they could get noticed for sending all those colorful super stickers. Meanwhile, their favorite poverty pimp, content creator, was right there passing around the collection plate and expressing pure love and thanks to all the fellow grandmothers for their monetary gifts. Now, hang on a minute, because we're talking about older women online. Let's not pretend the word grandma means what it used to mean. Back in the day, when you heard grandma, you pictured a woman in her late 60s, maybe with a cane, or baking pies, or wearing house slippers and humming church hymns while folding laundry. But today, nah, Granny might be 38 years old with a waist-length wig, stiletto nails, and active TikTok following. We are officially in the era of the Snapchat grandmas. We've got grandmas shopping at Fashion Nova, grandmas doing TikTok challenges, grandma beefing with their grandson's baby mama on Facebook. And please hold on to your man, because some of these grandmas are full-blown cougars out here, and they don't mind sharing their fixed income with a YN. Rose where? A lot of them are still trying to live like it's their second round of high school. They didn't get to be popular in high school, but now they're highly visible on social media. Now, I want to make this clear. There's nothing wrong with being youthful, stylish, or even having a whole second life after 35. But here's the issue I'm discussing today. Some of these women aren't evolving as they get older. They appear to be regressing. They want to sit at the cool table, as D. Ham puts it, but not sit in the accountability of wisdom that should come with a seasoned age. Instead of teaching and leading, they're out here competing with other content creators. They're not looking at them as colleagues or resources, even though they're being paid by the same platform. Instead of mentoring, they're out here mocking. And instead of logging off, they're somewhere lurking in the shadows, looking for their next victim. They're striking videos with malicious intent. They're reporting entire pages not because of violations against community guidelines. They're policing because how better to deal with the competition than to cancel them out. And that's how you end up with 40-year-old grandmas acting like 17-year-old mean girls on the internet from burner pages, text now numbers, and entire fake accounts. Some of them missed their shot at healing. And now they want to sabotage the next generation's shot at peace. Ain't that a kick in the head? Some of them fed the fire on purpose. They saw the engagement. They saw those Cash App, the views, and they started leaning into the toxicity. Why? Because drama sells. They caught on to that real quick. They weren't interested in healing or truth. They were interested in platform power. And if we're really going to keep it a buck, some of the audience members were addicted too. Addicted to the back and forth, the exposure, that fake intimacy, the insider info that made them feel important. They were the first to get the news. The Saga became reality TV, but with real world consequences. And when those cameras go off, the drama dies down. And the creators move on to the next story. Guess who's left dealing with the fallout? The fans. The loyal supporters. The ones who gave up real life peace for internet problems. They're not ready for you to leave the saga. They're not ready for you to leave the drama. You've been feeding into their thirst for toxicity. So how did we get here? I'm glad you asked. We forgot who we were. We let somebody else's dysfunction become our daily entertainment. We started confusing entertainment with advocacy and loyalty, with obsession. We let our desire for belonging turn into a blind allegiance. We stopped holding ourselves and each other accountable. We lost sight of the goal to uplift, to inform, and to help heal. So can we turn it around? If so, how can we do that? Well, for starters, creators need to stop treating their audience like pawns. If you have a platform, use it responsibly. Don't weaponize your followers. Don't build cults of personality. Stand on principle, not popularity. Supporters need to reclaim their own peace too. Log off sometimes. Reconnect with real people. Support who you want, but don't lose yourself in the process. Call out toxic behavior even when it comes from your side. Being on someone's team doesn't mean co-signing all of their foolishness. And finally, you just got to return to purpose. Why did you start your channel? Why did you start watching? If the answer isn't growth or healing or even truth, maybe it's time for you to regroup. There are whole companies out here scouting for the next influencer to offer them a brand deal. Have you ever wondered why some of the biggest influencers aren't getting brand deals? Well, wonder no longer. Because brands aren't about to attach themselves to low vibrational toxic creators. It'll ruin their brand. That's why you'll see these roasters and internet gangsters stick to the low-hanging fruit, just cussing people out for cash apps. Well, to each his own, I guess. I want to leave you with this. Just because you can fight online doesn't mean that you should. Just because somebody's loud and spitting into the mic, it doesn't mean that they're right. A lot of times they're just loud and wrong, as Dawn puts it. And just because a movement feels good in the moment, it doesn't mean it's going to be healthy in the long run. We're better than this, people. Don't you agree? I mean, we have to be.
The enemy uses people too. If the enemy knows where we're vulnerable at, the enemy himself is a bully, right? So he uses people and boosts them up to also intentionally swoop in and to do his dirty work. So people are going to try to hit you, touch you, affect you in the areas you're most vulnerable in, right? If I'm insecure about a certain area, if I don't feel strongly about a certain area, if I have a pain point in a certain area, that's where the bully's going to swoop in and try to attack. Because you attack me in the area where I feel, hey, that don't even bother me. But that bully knows where to hit to. So prayer to block those things, prayer to block how it affects us, and prayer to really touch and work through and soothe that wound and that pain point for self so it doesn't affect us anymore.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.